Hey free-to-play gang, welcome back to another video. So we are currently on the test server, also known as the advanced server. If you want to have information on how to access this server, I have a video. I'll probably link it up at the top. If you do not see it, let me know in case I forget. Without further ado, let's get right into the detail for today's video. We are going to take a look at the new Espers for this video and to figure out whether are they worth pulling for. Now, one of them is going to be free, and obviously that is going to be Aurelius. So we're going to start off with the free Esper Aurelius here. You cannot summon for him in the Echo for now until the event has run its course, which is I think on the 30th of July onwards, I think. But that's not so important. Let's take a look at his kit real quick over here. So Icicle Darts attacks one enemy, deals 120% attack damage with an 80% chance of inflicting speed down for 2 turns. This is okay, it's just damage with a speed down debuff. And moving on to his second skill, this is Ice Break Fury. This is the one that I'm extremely excited about. Take a look at the short cooldown of 3 turns over here. Attacks one enemy 2 times, each hit deals 100% of attack damage. If the enemy is frozen, the second hit dispels the freeze and deals bonus damage. The damage equals to 30% of attack and ignores defense. All in all, this goes up to 100% of normal damage with an additional 130% damage that ignores defense. This 130% is a lot stronger than Bion Dina. Bion Dina goes up to 90% on a single target, but this can potentially do another 40% on top of what Bion Dina can already do, which means that this skill alone is very easy to hit numbers such as like 50, 60,000 by ignoring defense completely, which makes him rather useful in, some PvE content. But in terms of PvP, he can potentially nuke a lot of different Espers. He can even nuke Clara on this skill as well, so that's something that you must consider. Now moving on to his third skill, this is Frost Glory. Attacks all enemies 2 times, each hit deals 50% of attack damage. The first hit freezes them for 1 turn, so basically like a Longmian freeze. And he also has a 100% proc chance, by the way. And if an enemy is frozen, the second hit damage is increased by another 50%, which is basically 100%. So in total, you can deal upwards of 150% damage onto frozen enemies. So he's gonna do a lot of damage to frozen enemies, and that's basically his setup, right? And I'm very excited about this specific Esper because he's gonna work very well with Longmian. So you're gonna see a lot of speed cleaves with Longmian as a leader that gives you a 20% speed lead. And on top of that, you'll see a lot of people running Aurelius at the same time because he's free. And because of how powerful his second skill is, I am 100% positive that you will see him used to counter a lot of comps like Dona comps, Clara comps. All these Espers, they are going to meet their end by facing Aurelius. In fact, even Sally as well. I don't even think Sally can tank the second skill over here. I think this is very powerful. Oh, and before I forget, his leader buff is just crit rate in holo battles by 25%. This is quite forgettable. Now moving on to the actual gacha Espers, right? So we're going to start off with Xiao Yin. I'm also super excited about him, so let's take a look at his kit. So his first skill attacks one enemy, deals 120% of attack damage. Upon a crit, you deal an additional 20% of attack damage, so this goes up to a total of 140% as long as you crit. But that's basically it. I feel like this skill is not exactly that enticing in any way. But here's his second skill, Dragon Gasp. Attacks an enemy 3 times, each hit deals 70% attack damage, and you gain stealth for 1 turn after attacking. Now, when Xiao Yin is in stealth, increases the damage dealt by 30%. When stealth ends, it gains 30% AP. That's pretty good. And at the start of Xiao Yin's turn, I believe this is at the start of battle, not at the start of his turn, you gain stealth for 1 turn. This is not what the patch notes say about his second skill. The patch notes say that at the start of battle, not at the start of his turn. So there is a major difference over here which we will need to test out if I do pull for him. Also, do take note that this skill has a really short cooldown of 3 turns. And now moving on to his third skill, this is Blossom Sword. Attacks an enemy 4 times, each hit deals 60% attack damage, which technically goes up to 240%. Each debuff on an enemy grants 25% bonus damage up to 150%. Upon killing the enemy, gain stealth for 1 turn. Now take note that this additional 150%, I do not think that it's an additional 150% attack, which in total adds up to 390%. I do not think that this is the case. In fact, what I think this is the case is, this is essentially multiplying your damage by 2.5 times, which means that would equate to 600% multiplier on his third skill. But of course, this is before the interaction between the enemy's defense and your attack, so it actually goes up to a massive 600%. Now obviously this Esper is going to be really good with Ocean Waves. He has 2 skills with rather decent cooldowns, right? 3 turns and 4 turns. With Ocean Waves, he's going to proc his skills like crazy, and that's a big deal, alright? I mean, just consider the fact that he gains stealth after attacking, and then he goes on to his third skill, which increases his damage dealt by another 30%. So from a 600% multiplier, you're actually really looking at somewhere around 800+%. And finally, he has a holo battle attack lead by 30%, which I think is a very nice addition on top of his already amazing kit. So he's very good for single target damage, and I feel like right now, I don't even think Stewart is like the biggest DPS anymore. I don't even feel like Taylor is that insane. I feel like Xiao Yin is incredibly powerful. And now we finish off with Zora, who is going to be the third Esper in the new banner, so to speak, in the new update, more like it. Okay, so let's take a look at her first skill. This is Keen Edge. Attacks all enemies, deal 60% attack damage, inflicts disease for 1 turn, restores own HP equal to 15% of the damage dealt, and the fewer the targets, the higher the damage. So this is going to be really good for dealing a lot of AoE damage, which would also replenish your HP like crazy. Do take note that even though it says 15% over here, it adds up a lot because you're attacking a lot of enemies, right? Moving on to her second skill, this is Rift Assault. Attacks 1 enemy 3 times, each hit deals 55% attack damage, increases crit damage dealt by 30%, and each hit has a 40% chance of dispelling 1 buff from the enemy. Gains speed up for 2 turns after that, and if own HP is above 50%, cast Keen Edge afterwards. Otherwise, 50% chance of casting Keen Edge if you are below 50% HP. Now, this is a very powerful skill. It has a lot going on in its kit, but one thing that really stands out to me in a negative way is the fact that your HP has to be above 50% for you to guarantee Keen Edge, which is her replenishing skill. Otherwise, if you are below 50% HP, you're not going to proc your Keen Edge as often as you would want to, or as often as you need to, which is very important for you to upkeep your own HP that way, which means that she has a very debilitating kit in the sense that the more HP she has lost, the worse of a bruiser she is. That's so weird as a concept. I'm not sure whether is this for real or am I just hating or anything like that, but I feel like it makes more sense if your HP is below 50% that you proc Keen Edge with a 100% chance rather than if your HP is above 50%. I feel like that doesn't really make a lot of sense. And that is the same for her Galactic Rush as well. So attacks all enemies, deals 120% of attack damage, inflicts buff blocker for 2 turns. If own HP is above 50%, cast Keen Edge. Otherwise, 50% chance of casting Keen Edge. So it's the same thing, right? It's the same issue over here, which I feel like that is going to set her back a little bit because what you need to do is to just outspeed her, deal a little bit of damage to her, make her below 50% HP, and she's not going to be as efficient as she should be. So that's a really puzzling thing, but anyway, I do feel like her kit is very good in terms of like being a very speedy first turn nuker, right? So let's take a look at her base speed. Her base speed is 103, which is not bad. We also have not considered her ascensions yet, so she may have like maybe upwards of 113 speed, hopefully. But the thing is, if you're able to make her go first, she's going to land an AoE buff blocker, which is going to turn around a lot of the fights in PvP, right? Let's say you're up against a speed cleave comp and they have a Dahlia or they have a Suhua, that kind of stuff. You can just prevent all of that from happening, and that is really going to set them back a lot. And finally, her captain ability is an additional 40% attack in Ritual Miracles, Sonic Miracles, and Desolate Lands. That is an insane buff. This is the largest attack percentage I've ever seen in a leader buff. But all in all, the way I feel like I would build her is to probably build her as a bruiser. That means like a mixture of crit damage, attack, and HP. Just make sure that she can survive and make sure that, even if she loses a bit of HP, hopefully that doesn't deplete her down below 50%. But at the same time, she needs the damage to, heal herself from this skill and to deal a little bit of damage when she's taking the first turn this way. I mean, this is just one example of how I would use her. People are saying that she's an AoE Tang Yun, but that's not necessarily always true, right? Because Tang Yun can proc multiple times, she can only proc once. So I feel like she's just a double caster, so if you take turn 1, you're going to drop an AoE nuke and then you're going to follow up immediately with a Keen Edge, which is quite awesome, right? Buff blocker and disease at the same time. So she's naturally a very strong counter against Clara because with disease, Clara is not actually able to heal past the disease. Unlike Hengrye. Hengrye can still heal past the disease because Hengrye actually cleanses before healing, but that's not the case for Clara. So all in all, I do feel like Zora is able to counter the tanky meta based on her kit, which is pretty awesome. I'm actually quite interested to use her if I do get her. But yeah, so that's it for this video. So should you summon or not for this banner? Honestly, the fact that, okay, Zora is quite interesting, right? But the fact that Xiao Yin is just so strong, I do feel like this is a banner where you can drop all of your gold records that you have saved so far. I feel like he's going to be a really good addition. He's going to be very powerful. And especially Aurelius, man. I feel like Aurelius is super strong even though he's not part of the gacha. But I'm just very excited in using the 4-star Espers. So yeah, let me know down in the comments below what you feel about my analysis on these Espers. And let me know whether are you going to summon or not. Now with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to leave a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And subscribe for more Dislyte content. Now this has been Daddy Free to Play. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.